As the new Trier Trevians in homecoming take on the Maine East Demons. Glad to have you with us. All the way down the network line, welcome to the football action today. And we should mention right off the bat that we have an audio problem. And the audio problem is we put in a microphone to try and cut down the sound. We're actually inside the press box today, owing to the bad weather. And we put in a microphone, and the microphone didn't work. Now it's picked up by Craig Wesley, and Wesley gets up to about the 36-yard line, and that's where the Trevians will take over. First and 10. This is the Metro Chicago Sports Network. Glad to have you with us here on the network. The new Trier Trevians homecoming. Matt Loddick comes out. Kind of a gray, rainy afternoon here at New Trier. So I don't know what it is. Something that always happens every time New Trier plays Maine East. The weather's always like this, just kind of gray and nasty. Got a brand new camera, got a new setup here, and hopefully we'll have some pretty good pictures, even if we don't have the sound from the football stadium. And the handoff goes to John Spellman, and Spellman picks up about 5. Second down and 5 for the Trevians. The new Trier Trevians coming in with a record of 3-1 in conference. And have won their last 5 in a row. They win today, they will clinch a playoff spot, regardless of what happens next week in the game against Glenbrook South. And Glenbrook South will come in with a 3-way tie. Down goes Loddick, and they're going to call this intentional grounding. Flag goes down, and the intentional grounding against Matt Loddick. Intentional grounding against Matt Loddick. And the Trevians will lose a couple of yards. Is that a loss of down? I think it is. And there it is, the signal. The new Trier Trevians. Evanston beat Glenbrook South. Really doesn't matter what happens between Glenbrook South and Evanston, even though a lot of the new Trier players went out to watch that game last night in real time. It really doesn't matter, Trevians-wise, and it's still all in their hands by what they do against Glenbrook South, whether or not they'll win the conference. A screen pass over to the far side for John Spellman. Spellman finds a little open room and gets into Maine East territory at about the Maine East 45-yard line. And the new Trier Trevians on the move. They canceled, I guess, the parade. It was supposed to have the parade today for homecoming, but the weather a little too inclement. They were also supposed to play a freshman game. Maine East does not have a sophomore team. They're supposed to play a freshman game here on the field, and they had to play that up on the North 40 because the field was in no condition to take 2 football games. It's barely in condition to take the one, considering the weather conditions here today. There's some of the crowd, and we're going to have lots of problems with the camera here because, of course, of the tight conditions, moving it around to not get windows stand side windows here in the way. With the brand new camera, we didn't want to go up on the roof. Here's John Spellman. Found a little bit of a hole and picked up into the inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line of Maine East. Again, we have an audio problem today, so we do not have any of the sound of the football game. Matt Loddick, the quarterback for the Trevians. Trevians on the move to start off the game. Not only do they have to win today, but they have to actually score quite a bit. John Spellman keeps the legs moving. And I think just barely picked up a first down here. But nonetheless, I think the Trevians have a first down, first and 10. This broadcast brought to you on the broadcasting rights granted by New Trier Township High School and the Metro Chicago Sports Network, solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the descriptions and counts of this game without the express written consent of the Metro Chicago Sports Network is an infringement of the copyright and strictly prohibited. Your announcer and independent producer of these games and solely responsible for its content and this game pre-recorded for presentation at this time. John Spellman tried to go to the outside and picked up about 3. Second down and 7 for the Trevians. A muddy, wet field to work with today. Moran, the lone man, out to the far side. Rainy afternoon here at New Trier, at the New Trier West Sports Center, and New Trier West at the West Center. Again, Spellman with the carry. Out comes Kenley, in comes Sroka. Mike Sroka probably in to run a little interference for John Spellman as we get inside the 25. Boddick hands it off to John Spellman. Spellman gets the first down inside the 20 to about the 19, 18-yard line. And a good for a Trevian, a first down. Stroka running the interference. In comes Nick Wallace again. First and 10 from the 19. Hand off to Spellman. And Spellman finds an opening. He's going to go for the touchdown. As we said, we get stanchions in the way here. Touchdown, New Trier. John Spellman in for the touchdown. And now the attempt at the extra point from Scott Weiss. As you can see, we don't have a lot of room to play with here. And the kick is up, and it is no good. And the Trevians lead 6-0. So early on, the Trevians have drawn first blood here, leading at 6-0. And the Trevians will kick off. Maine East won their opening game of the season and haven't gotten close since then. Been a very long couple of years here for Maine East. And this is actually the last year these two teams are going to face each other for a while, because Maine East is going to move over into the Central Suburban League North Division, and Maine South will move over to the Central Suburban League South. So we will get Maine South in our conference next year. Peter Kelly kicks it off. Taking it to 15, bobbled it to 15. Going to probably see a lot of bobbling going on in this rain. And gets up to about the 32-yard line. That's where Maine East will take over, first and 10. And Maine East will have their first possession, already down by 6-0. Any moment now we'll see a couple of mud turtles come out of the 50-yard line, I would guess. Pretty muddy field already. And we're still early on in the game, first quarter. I don't even think Maine East has a passing game here. Haven't seen very much of that in a couple of games. We've kind of done a little scouting around. A rainy afternoon, and again, we apologize. We are experiencing audio difficulties, and you will not hear the sound of the game today. Not that there's a lot of sound of the game besides rain on the umbrellas. Second effort before Dan Simon wrapped up the feet. Not much of a pickup, a couple of yards. About 6 to go for the first down. And a couple of weeks away from basketball. Right here on the network, you'll catch all the basketball action. The option, the pitch back, and Mike Mahoney wrestles them down to the mud. And that'll bring up a 4th and 5. And the Maine East Demons will kick it away. Maine East, as we said, has had a very long season. They're 1-6 on the year. Won their first game, haven't come close since then. The new Trier Trevians lost their first 2 and now have won their last 5. John Spellman slips by the first guy, didn't get by the second, and bouncing around in the mud. Trevians take over at their own 30, looks like about the 38, 39-yard line. 39, make it. And that's where the Trevians will have a 1st and 10. First and 10 for the Trevians from the 39-yard line. Trevians already leading by a touchdown. Matt Loddick. Hands it off to the outside Novak, and Novak lost a couple of yards. Trying to mix it up a little bit as far as the running backs go tonight. What with Maine East the way they are, defensively, I'm not exactly surprised that the Trevians going to mix things up and move them around a little bit. Bring in players that don't normally get to see the football. Or the field, for that matter. We have an equipment problem. And the Maine East player had to be sent off because of that. Now the Trevians again ready. 1st and 10 from the 35. Or 2nd and 10, make it. 2nd and long, sorry. But anyway, the Trevians pick up, John Spellman picks up about 9. That brings up a 3rd and 5. I think running in and out with trying to keep that football dry is a useless gesture here. 3rd and 5 for the Trevians. From the 44-yard line, their own 44. Loddick back to pass. Loddick looking for some help. Loddick in trouble. Now let's go the pass, and incomplete. Intended for a sliding Greg Williamson. And a flag goes down, and it's clipping against the Trevians anyway. Now, let's see. I think I'd take the down rather than give the Trevians the option of running another play. But they're going to take the walk-off against the Trevians. And move the ball back to about the 20-yard line from the point of infraction. Make that the 16-yard line from the point of the infraction. So it's a big walk-off against the Trevians. You know, raindrops, so many raindrops. A very wet afternoon. Loddick will work out of the shotgun. The handoff to Spellman. Spellman comes to the near side. And second effort, slipped by a few and got up to about the 26-yard line, but that's fourth down. And the Trevians will kick it away here. And John Spellman on to kick it away. The low snap, little bobble with it, got it away. Bouncing back to the 42 rather, and Kenley right there, and Mike Kenley brings them down right from the kick. And it is Maine East football at the 40. They're going to mark it at about the 40. A little further back, the 39-yard line, 39.5-yard line. A handoff to the near side, and Dan Simon right there. Simon brings him down. Dan Simon does the job. There are some of the faithful from the Maine East side. You're watching New Trier Trevians football here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. There's the handoff. Oh, Dan Simon again. Right there. Bounced off and closed up the hole right away. First quarter here at Trevians Field. We were trying to think of a name for the football stadium. And haven't come up with any. This new stadium. Second down and 8. Back to pass. Throwing, bounce, loose and intercepted by Tom Duda. Duda bounces out of bounds at about the 40. And the Trevians have the football back. Tom Duda with the interception. First and 10 for the Trevians at the Maine East 40-yard line. Matt Loddick gets the last-minute instruction from the sideline, and out to call the first play from scrimmage here. Novak and Spellman in the backfield. Hand off to Spellman. He bounces to the outside. Flag goes down. And this one's going to come back. It's a holding call on the Trevians. Back along the line. Back it comes. Trevians, a minor penalty. A penalty nonetheless. A major penalty as far as the movement of the ball on the part of the Trevians, and we'll walk it off 10 yards. Second down and 20 for the Trevians. Soroka comes back in. And this time he's going to work as an end. Again, Novak and Spellman in the backfield. Hand off to Spellman. Spellman pushes ahead for about 3. And that'll bring up a second down and about 17. The new Trier Trevians, if they win today, clinch a playoff spot no matter what happens next week. And Trevians trying to win the conference. Evanston has been eliminated. No, I take that back. Evanston has not been eliminated. Let me think about this now. If New Trier wins next week, New Trier is the champion. If Glenbrook South wins next week, then Evanston, I think, is the champion. That's the end of the quarter, and we'll be back with more in just a moment here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. All set to get underway with the second quarter. Trevians have the ball first and 10 at the 15-yard line of the Maine East Demons. Matt Loddick hands it off to John Spellman. Spellman bounces to the outside and gets down to about the 6-yard line. Down he goes. This is the sort of football game that once you get a little wet, it suddenly stops mattering just how much it is raining and how wet it really is. This is the sort of day that parents hate, getting that equipment home all full of mud and muck. Of course, a lot of the high schools clean it themselves. Going to take an extra dry cycle to get this stuff dry today. Hand off to John Spellman. Spellman bounces free. And on the second effort, in for the touchdown. And the Trevians take a 12-0 lead on the 6-yard run by John Spellman. His second touchdown of the day. Like we said, our big problem here today is that. Hello. And now we'll try for the extra point here. Scott Weiss on to kick it. High snap, the kick up, and this one is good, and the Trevians lead 13-0. 11 minutes left to play here in the first half, and the Trevians now leading 13-0. Early on in the second quarter, John Spellman has connected both sides for the touchdown scampers. And once again, Peter Kelly on to kick it away. They kick high and deep, taken at about the 10-yard line, make it the 5-yard line. Scampers up to the 20, and at the 21, he's hit there by Mark Powell. Good running block by the short, stocky. Actually, he's kind of a running back. He's the heir apparent for, I would think, John Spellman for next year. First and 10 for Maine East at about the 21-yard line. Maine East has not fired much of an offense in any of their games. Pickup of about 5 here, second down and 5. And the ball resting on the 25-yard line. Like I said, there's something about every time we play a game against Maine East that we get into weather conditions like this. At Maine East, the cameramen are supposed to be outside. I don't think I've run a football game yet when I've been over there. We got a first down here. I've been over there where I have been able to actually videotape from outside. I've always had to be inside because of the weather conditions at Maine East. Every time we played over there, of course, then again, it's also been cold usually. Today it's just the rain. First and 10 for Maine East at the 31-yard line. And they hand off and nowhere to go. Peter Naughton brings him down with a little help from Morgan Baker. After a gain of about 2, second down and 8 for Maine East at their own 33-yard line. I was checking there during the break, and actually what happens here, if New Trier wins next week, which is really what they've got to do, then New Trier is the Central Suburban South champion. Whoops! Offside, Peter Naughton jumped the gun. Offside, and we'll walk at 5 yards. So New Trier wins if they win next week against Glenbrook South. If Glenbrook South wins next week, then Evanston, if they win next week, will be the Central Suburban South champions because they beat Glenbrook South. So even though the 3 teams would come in with the same record, again, because they beat Glenbrook South, or do we have co-champions? Whoops. Illegal procedure. We'll walk it back to 5 yards. Am I right on that? Or will we have 3 co-champions? We may even have 3 co-champions. If New Trier wins next week, then New Trier would be the champion all by themselves. I believe. Yeah. Nowhere to go. That looked like a busted play. Now, wait a minute. New Trier wins next week, the champion. Okay, we got that. If Glenbrook South wins next week, Evanston beat Glenbrook South, Glenbrook South would have beaten New Trier, but New Trier beat Evanston. Will we have a 3-way tie then? I believe so, depending on, then we go to the points differential on who would actually be considered the champion. I don't know. I don't know who would be considered the actual champion. Nowhere to go. And after all that, 4th down and 10, and Maine East will have to kick this football away from their own 33-yard line, 32-yard line, or thereabouts. The field getting chewed up pretty good right now. This field has a sand base, so underneath all of this sod, there's a lot of sand down there. But, you know, just the same, there's just so much that you can do. 45-yard line, 1st and 10. I think New Trier should charge Evanston for throwing that bleach on the field. That's that big spot right there at the 50-yard line. One of the Evanston kids, or a couple of the Evanston kids, came over and threw bleach there the Tuesday before the game 2 weeks ago. Matt Loddick at quarterback. Again, we are having audio difficulties. You will not hear the sound of the football game during the course of this game. John Spellman picks up about 3 and brings up a 2nd and 7. But you'll get to hear my charming voice in full detail during the course of the game. And we'll keep you up to date on what's going on. As we said last night, and I had a little hassle with the new Trier players. They were all discussing that game last night between Evanston and Glenbrook South, and I said, it's in your court, not in theirs. No, I don't care what they did. Nowhere to go. John Spellman stacked up. Did I see an extra hit thrown in there, or did he hit the ground? Maybe he hit the ground with his hand. 3rd down, 3rd and 10. From the 45-yard line of the Trevians. Matt Loddick will work out of the shotgun. 2nd quarter. And Loddick avoids the block. Oh, great catch by Nick Wallace. Bounced it once and then managed to hold on. And the Trevians have another 1st down. 1st and 10. Inside Maine East territory. There you see the colorful apparel today. Got a lot of them today. The umbrellas. The equipment du jour. Matt Loddick. Hand off to John Spellman. Spellman with 2nd effort. Picks up about 4. Brings up a 2nd down and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the 2nd and 6 for the Trevians. They still managed to get the barbecue started, and the ever-popular steaks are a-burning. Get that wonderful barbecue smell wafting its way up here to the press box. Matt Loddick hands it off to John Spellman. Spellman bounces to the outside, finds a little running room, and then tripped up from behind inside the 35 at about the 33-yard line. John Spellman gets the Trevians another 1st down at the 34-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Trevians. Make it the 24-yard line. Second quarter. Spellman and Novak again, the 2 backs. Moran and Wallace split to the outside. Moran goes in motion to the far side. Loddick hands off to Spellman. Bounces over to the near side and picks up about 2 or 3. There are 2 extra players out there, Buck and Meyer. Sorry, bad joke. You got to keep it light, Matt Loddick, the quarterback for the Trevians, has them on the march again. John Spellman finds the opening. Touchdown, New Trier. And it is 19-10 6-0. John Spellman for the third time today. Runs it in for the touchdown. The only thing that I hope next week is that we have good weather. As Weiss tries for the extra point here. Then maybe Loddick can throw a little bit and he can possibly do some things that Glenbrook South is not really able to defend against. They do defend well against the run, sort of. Anyway, the Trevians lead it 20-0 with about 4 minutes left to play here in the first half. With the Trevians leading, let's pause for these messages, and we'll be back with more football action on the new Trier homecoming game from Trevians Field. Leading 20-0. You are watching the Metro Chicago Sports Network. Your announcer, a paid employee of the new Trier Township High School Athletic Department. And this game pre-recorded for presentation at this time. There's the kick. Oh, does a little skim and skip right over the head and touchback. And Maine East will take over at their own 20-yard line. The new Trier Trevians we're leading like 21-0 against Evanston, and Evanston managed to come back, so we'll have to see what happens. Of course, Maine East does know Evanston, that's for sure. Understand Dwayne Stone, the running back for Evanston, had a pretty good game last night. Rushed for the winning touchdown in overtime versus Glenbrook South. Here's a handoff. Oh, my. Mike Sroka nearly stole the handoff. He was in there that quick. Second and about 13. Mike Sroka just slid right on through. Second down, 13 for the Maine East Demons. The handoff, no handoff, quarterback keeper, and he picks up about 4. Or thereabout. Peter Kelly and Mike Sroka, the two that generally run the defense here. There's a pass, bounced in the air, and that is pass interference they're going to call. And I believe it on Mark Paul. Yeah. Pass interference on Mark Paul. And that will get Maine East a first down. First and 10 Maine East. Pass interference on the new Trier Trevians. First and 10. And we'll move the ball up to about the 50-yard line. So the new Trier Trevians. Well, I don't know where they set that football, why they're setting it there. That wasn't a 15-yard walk-off, but in any case, from the 38-yard line. Whoa! Illegal procedure against Maine East. You got to feel sorry for a team like Maine East that, year in and year out, they've had problems playing the likes of New Trier and Evanston. And it's tough to get kids up for games that games like this, in conditions like this, but I mean games like this. I mean, there's certain teams that just pitch back. Oh my! Nearly got him on a from behind. Now down goes Mike Mahoney. Brought him down, but I think that's Mahoney got him with the face mask. It is Mike Mahoney face masking. I think it was Mahoney who did it, but in any case, it was a face mask call. And again, a big walk-off against the Trevians from the 35. It'll put it at the 50. 5, 10, 15-yard walk-off. Another first down for Maine East on the face masking by Mike Mahoney, I believe. Mahoney, a great job of running along that line. You can see where he's playing. And he managed to get over to that far side and bring down the player for Maine East, but not before had to get the hand in the face to do it. Mike Kenley brings him down, trips him up after a gain of about a yard. I don't even think it was a yard, maybe about 6 to 12 inches. No, they are going to call it a yard. 2nd and 9 for Maine East. It has been raining and raining hard all day. Back to pass. The throw complete. First down. Inside Trevian territory at the 37-yard line. First and 10 from the 37 for the Maine East Demons. Timeout taken by Maine East. The magic of television editing. First and 10 Maine East. Oh my. Once again the Trevians. Peter Kelly this time. Busts through for the quarterback sack. Peter Kelly, and another timeout taken by Maine East. I mean, this just isn't just a rain, it is a genuine downpour. The pass broken up by Mark Powell. In the mad reach, Peter Kelly out there smelling the chance at the pass. That'll bring up a 4th down. Fourth down and about 15. Or 3rd down and 15, make it. 3rd and 15 for Maine East. They hand off and only picked up 2 or 3. That's one thing you can't do against New Trier is run. Not effectively. New Trier does a very great job of stopping the run. You know, you look at the running of Dwayne Stone, and yet against New Trier, against them, had held them to about 100 yards. 4th down, they're going to, I guess, go for it here. It is a pass, nearly intercepted, knocked down by Matt Dennis, and the Trevians take over on downs, 1st and 10. New Trier Trevians from their own 40-yard line. So the Trevians have held, figuratively, They have only done it once literally, and that they've been called for. First and 10 for the Trevians. Matt Lonick in at quarterback. Split to the near side is Wallace and Moran. They hand off to John Spellman. Spellman along the line, picked up about a yard. As the half comes to an end. At the end of the first half, the Trevians leading it 20-0. We'll be back with more football action. The second half of tonight's game, right after these messages here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network.
Jan Greco, ABC 7 Sports. Stay tuned for much more on the Metro Chicago Sports Network.
Trevians will kick off to start the second half. New Trier leading 20-0. 3 touchdown runs by John Spellman. And the kick away by Peter Kelly, a little squibber. Whoops, stuck his knee down just as he caught it. And splat. First and 10 for Maine East at their own 34-yard line. Hockey's not too far away. Just 2 weeks on the regular network. Some of you will see the hockey game, and some of you won't. So it really depends where you're watching, what games you will see starting in 2 weeks. There's a handoff. The hockey will not be seen on our outlet New Trier Lyceum. Some hockey games will be seen only on TCI in Highland Park, Winnetka. And some of our games will be seen only on Media One in Wilmette. Morton Grove group through Park Ridge. Personal foul on the part of the Trevians. I'm gathering by the signal made by the back judge that it was shoving the face into the muck and mire out there. And the field is really getting chewed up now, something fierce, in this heavy rain. First and 10 for Maine East on the personal foul. Quarterback keeper goes to the outside. Didn't get very much. Matt Dennis and actually Dan Simon was the one that brought him down. Matt Dennis over there to make sure he stayed down. Second down and about 7. Make it 2nd and 6. And, whoa, bobble on the snap, managed to come up with it. Should have just fallen on it, ended up losing yardage. And third down, and actually lost a bunch there. He lost 6. Third down and 13. Any minute now, I expect a mud turtle or two to come up at about the 50-yard line. Maybe a Louisiana snapping turtle. Certainly got the weather for it. Third down and 13 for the Maine East Demons. The handoff slipped away from Peter Kelly, but the Trevian line was still there. And that'll bring up a 4th down and long, 4th down and 12. And I would assume Maine East is going to have to kick it away here. Fortunately, it is not a cold day, just a wet one. Humidity up around 100%. Some fog in the area, some heavy rain. Not any thunderstorms to speak of. Bad snap. Managed to get it away, though. And taken by Spellman. He got up to the 40-yard line, catching it on the run. 1st and 10 for the Trevians from their own 40. Again, we have a sound problem here today, and that's the reason you're just hearing me and not hearing the crowd noise. All you really hear, I suppose, tonight is the sound of the rain hitting the umbrellas out here. Tried to work a deal with a microphone so that we wouldn't pick up the coach's comments as we're in the press box today, and the microphone didn't quite work. That was what we were trying to do, and that's not what happened. John Spellman, the ball carrier, picks up 4. Almost 5. We'll call it 4. 2nd down and 6 for the Trevs. The ball resting at the 44-yard line. In comes Mike Sroka. Well, assuming the Trevians win today, and they're already leading 20-0, it is all up to them. They have to be the ones to decide they really want it. And there's a lot at stake, even though everyone says, well, the conference, but there's more than the conference, because based on your conference record, etc., that weights you on who you have to play. So, the object here is down the road. What you want to do is not only do you want to win your conference, which is, of course, the most important thing with the game next week, but also you want to do it in convincing style so that you can have a good break on the playoffs, which begin in 2 weeks. John Spellman, the ball carrier, and he picked up about 1. Brings up a 4th and 2. And I think the Trevians are not going to fool around here. And look like they're going to kick it away. Fourth and 2. Now they shift back in. And Matt Moran with Duda and Kelly. Whoa, my goodness. They pulled him offside. They're saying there was movement in the Maine East is saying movement, but I think it is offside against Maine East, and I'll give the New Trier Trevians the 1st down. It is offside, Maine East, Trevian 1st down. So I think the play was actually going to be Moran directed handoff, or even Matt Moran trying to lunge for the 1st down. Whatever it was, instead, Maine East got caught jumping a little too soon. Move that camera around a little bit. Matt Loddick back on the field. Trevians have another 1st down. John Spellman. Kind of hard to tell exactly how many. They didn't really set those sticks very well. We'll call it 2nd and 1. Although they gave the Trevians 2 extra yards here, it looks like, for the 1st down. 2 yards high, as it were. So it should be 2nd down and 3, and instead it's 2nd down and 1. Should be 1st down at about the 36-yard line. John Spellman got the 1st down anyway, and down inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line of Maine East. First and 10 for the Trevians. As the new Trier Trevians on a roll here. Now we begin to see what sort of heart the Trevians really have. I think we saw the first part of that when the Trevians, after losing the first two games, have begun working hard and really putting forth a tremendous amount of effort, and it has been rewarded with 5-game winning streak. Now comes the true test, what this 5-game winning streak really means, and that will be the state playoffs in 6A. Matt Loddick has the Trevians on the move again at the 27-yard line, 28-yard line. John Spellman with second effort gets inside the 25 to the 23, where it will be third down and 4, it appears. Third and 4. From the 24, as the Trevians on the move once more. Hand off to John Spellman. Spellman bounces to the outside. He's going to go. Touchdown, New Trier. And New Trier up 26-0. John Spellman with a 24-yard run. His fourth touchdown of the game. And Scott Weiss on to try the extra point. He's literally kicking from a mud puddle. See him digging there, trying to find... Where's the line? Trying to find a dry spot, I guess. A lot of water. The snap. The kick is up, and it's good. Not by a whole heck of a lot, but it's good nonetheless. And the New Trier Trevians now leading 27-0. Once again, Peter Kelly to kick it off. They kick away. A little squibber in the mud. Splats around a little bit. Heavy block in there. Novak and Kelly in the open field. Take them down. And it's first and 10 for Maine East at the 15-yard line, I believe that is. Yeah, 15-yard line. They'll try and keep that football now out of the center of the field, and we're starting to see, before long here, I'm sure we'll start to see some of the New Trier players coming out and some of the regulars coming out for some of the players that don't get a lot of time. Handoff and nowhere to go. He actually lost a yard maybe. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like he got back to the line. Second and 10. Part of the problem I think that Maine East has is that so many of the Maine East players, Maine East students now, are non-Native Americans, and a big hole there. Good yardage for Maine East here today. Pickup of about 4. And I think that's sort of wreaked havoc on their sports programs all around. You would think that their soccer program would do a little better than it does, but most of the other programs that they have generally do not do well, and that's simply the case of that English as a second language, etc. type problem here. Handoff, and Peter Kelly brings him down, short of the first down. Fourth down, be in about 2. 1 or 2. And I would think Maine East will kick it away here. Our hockey schedule again, 2 weeks. Begins the season, 2 games a week. Here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. And the low snap. Trevians weren't really trying to rush it. Dies in the mud just across the 50. Took one bounce and splatted there. But they're going to sink up to their ankles and deeper here. Looks like about the 48-yard line of the Trevians. And Matt Dennis now on at quarterback for the Trevs. Matt Dennis. Top players. And I notice the backfield is Novak and Peter Kim, or Paul Kim. Kim with the football, and Kim picked up about a yard. 2nd and 9. Matt Dennis at quarterback now for the Trevians. 3rd quarter, Trevians leading 27-0. And I assume because of the weather being like it is, they're not about to risk injury with the playoffs just 2 weeks away. Kim again, the ball carrier, lost a yard. Back to where we started. 3rd and 10. I don't know. You got to tell Matt Moran not to express feelings as he's watching also as a quarterback, watching the plays being called in. He can give away what that play is. Kim, the ball carrier, he falls down. Lost the football, recovered by the Trevians, though. 4th down and short. Fourth and 1. That's the end of the quarter. At the end of the 3rd quarter, Trevians leading at 27-0. We'll be back with the 4th in a moment. 27-0, trying to make it. Looks like they're going to be playoff bound no matter what happens next week. But of course, you want to win your conference, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. The kick away by Spellman. Bounces down to the 17-yard line or thereabouts. And I think we'll just about have the end to most of the Trevians starters out there on the field. You won't see them very much longer. There's a couple of them out there still. Kenley, and Mark Paul. About the only ones I see out there. Tony Ma, Morgan Baker. Some of the players that are out there. First and 10 for the Maine East Demons at the 16-yard line. Handoff. And down he goes almost right away. Pickup of about yard. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like he picked up a yard. 2nd and 9. A very wet afternoon. Next week, the Trevians and the Glenbrook South Titans. And, of course, that's our game here on the network. And in 2 weeks, some of you will see the game, the football playoff game. Others of you on the network will not. To the far side. Of course, then again, let me take that back. All of you that are watching this game will see the... All of you watching this game will see the football game, the playoff game. Some of you will not see the hockey game yet. Some of you will get a hockey game and a football game. Others of you will just get the football game. And others of you will get the hockey games with no football games. So very confusing and on different channels yet on the cable. So check your listings for the sports events you want to watch here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. And we're set. Maine East, a fumble, loose ball, picked up by Morgan Baker, and Baker in for the touchdown for the new Trier Trevians. Baker takes it in for the touchdown, and the Trevians lead 33-0. Baker in for the touchdown. Boy, not only was there a fumble there, but Baker had a lane open up for him. And it's a good thing in high school football you're allowed to advance the football again. It used to be for a long time that high school football here in Illinois, you could not advance a recovered fumble. And the point after is good. Trevians now lead 34-0. And the new Trier Trevians, well in command now, 34-0. Here in the fourth quarter. Football, we'll follow New Trier in the football. We'll follow New Trier basketball this year. All the games of the New Trier varsity will be on cable this year. And we will have 2 hockey games a week, approximately, here on the network. So lots of sports action coming up. We're just getting into, as we call it, the meat of the schedule. What with football, now hockey, and basketball before too long, and all three could actually be playing on top of each other. Wouldn't that be nice? Picked up by Maine East. They charge ahead in the slop and mud. And up to about the 45-yard line, 40-yard line of Maine East, and that's where the Demons will take over. And the Trevians now, with all of the second stringers out there, no first stringers left out on the field. In fact, we were talking a little bit here about the hockey, and New Trier hockey beat Cathedral Cavard of Indianapolis, Indiana, 10-0 in an exhibition game. The regular season, again, in 2 weeks. A timeout taken by the Trevians. First and 10, Maine East at the 40. Their own 40. The handoff Boy, could everyone read that one. Tony Ma with the tackle. Boy, you could really see that one developing. He took forever, mostly, I suppose, because of the mud. It takes forever for the player to get up to the ball for the handoff. This is actually a well-drained field. It's just that there's been so much rain that it's next to impossible to do anything but tear this place up. To the outside, and the first down for the Demons. On the option, 1st and 10, Maine East. This is the only football game on the field this week, and you can see it hasn't helped at all. And this is a very expensive sodding that they did here, but boy, they're going to have to do this one all over again, I think. There's not too much you can do about what they're doing to the field right now. 2nd down, pickup of about 1. I mean, there is about 5 feet of sand, I believe, underneath the grass. But if the sand is saturated with water, because it's rained about an inch already, a little bit more than that, there really isn't much, nowhere else for the water to go, so it stays on the field. Great job on the Trevians along the line. And Maine East looking at long yardage again. And a timeout taken by the Maine East Demons. 3rd down and 9 for them. 3rd and 9. Whoops. Make it 3rd down and 14 now. Illegal procedure. In the case sort of play, I think it would be almost a case of leaning forward and not being able to stop because of the mud. 3rd and 14 for Maine East. Option out to the far side. Oh my, great job. Just an outstanding job. Bringing him down. 4th down and about 20. 4th and 20. Fourth in the Wisconsin. Matt Moran back to receive the punt. Low bobbling snap. Nearly blocked. And bounces out of bounds. Not much yardage out of it. 49-yard line. And that's where the Trevians will take over here in the 4th quarter. As we said, I noticed there that Matt Moran, earlier in the game, was showing emotion on the signal calls as they were coming in. And he's got to be real careful about doing that. I know he wants to receive a pass, but just the same, he's got to control that. Matt Dennis hands it off to Kim, got nowhere. Zach Weiner comes off. Chad Richmond out there, first time in a while we've seen him. He's playing with a brace on his right arm, right wrist. So the Trevians second down. They lost a yard, 2nd and 11. Bouncing to the outside and maybe got to the original line. 3rd down and 10 for the Trevians. So in 2 weeks, we'll be getting into the multiple games on the schedule and back to our full 4 hours of sports broadcasts. And again, back to the line, and that'll bring up a 4th and 10, so the Trevians will kick it away, I'm sure. Fourth and 10. Matt Dennis has been on this whole 4th quarter as the quarterback. Matt Loddick has finished for the afternoon. John Spellman on to kick it away. Besides Spellman and Loddick, I don't think they have anybody else that can kick it away, which is probably why, particularly in this weather. Oh, my. No, he didn't get it away. Loose ball, bouncing around, all that slop, and Maine East gets the football in great field position, but time running out. So Maine East. And I can't tell from about the 35-yard line, I guess that is. We'll call it that, the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 for Maine East at the Trevian 35 on the missed punt. Bouncing around in that mud. Taken to the outside. Great job. Coming in off the play. Coming in from the secondary. Second down. And 12 now. I think they're looking for a reasonably dry spot on that field. Or a grassy spot, perhaps. And there isn't much left at that midfield. Go do a lot of rolling on that field once this place dries out this week. Probably tomorrow afternoon. In real time. There's a handoff. Well, we have a chance to let you know once again, this broadcast brought to you under broadcasting rights, granted by the Metro Chicago Sports Network and New Trier Township High School, solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any rebroadcast or on the use of descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Metro Chicago Sports Network is an infringement of the copyright and strictly prohibited. Your announcer is an independent producer of these games, solely responsible for its content. Your announcer is a paid employee of the New Trier Township High School Athletic Department. Was game pre-recorded for presentation at this time? Nowhere to go. I think this is really mostly the New Trier JV that's out there right now, with the exception maybe of Mike Andre. New Trier also, some of the others, was SAT today. I don't know if any of the football players were involved in that. I would assume not. Didn't take the SATs at this time. Probably wait till after the football season's over to try and take the SATs. Back to pass, throws up the middle, complete, first down. And down to the yard line. So 1st and 10 for Maine East at the 17 of the Trevians. They snap to the outside. Kind of a rolling trip block. 2nd down. Give them 2, 2nd and 8. Second down, 8 yards to go. Next week again here on the network, New Trier and Glenbrook South. Final game of the regular season. Whoa, fumble, loose ball. Now to the outside. Oh, Mike Andre trips him up. And timeout, Maine East. The best time I ever had in a sports event, I was out at college, and there was an old minor league baseball park there that was not used anymore. I think they used it for softball or something like that. And it was a day much like this. And, well, first of all, the drinking age at that time, we were legal to drink, even though we were freshmen in college. And we went out there and had a couple of beers and had a wonderful old time splashing around. You know, you couldn't run the bases, forget running the bases. You know, like idiots. We were out there in the rain. But, oh, we had a wonderful time. I don't know. There's something about football in the rain, though. It's different because I think the difference is that even in that baseball game, we really didn't. Just the same, we really didn't get our faces down into the mud. You know, that's the one thing about football. Every time you have the handoff, you know, every time you have stuff like this. And again, the wet ball causes some problems for Maine East. But, you know, every time, once again, a timeout for the Demons, charge the Demons. But you know, playing football in this weather, you're putting your face down in that mud. And following the timeout, Maine East, 4th down, long yardage, back to pass, looking, throws to the side, wobbly pass, and knocked down by the Trevians. So the Trevians take over on downs. 1st and 10 for the Trevians, with about 58 seconds left to play here in the 4th quarter. We are here at New Trier in the rain. And I'm sure they're in the playoffs no matter what happens next week. But now they can't take anything for granted. Maine East, no timeouts left. Dennis downs it. So that's just about going to do it here. So like we said, no matter what happens, New Trier will be come out ready to play next week. Well, this is Mark Braun. Hope you've enjoyed our broadcast today. Whoa, fumble. But that'll do it. So, hope you enjoyed this broadcast. And until next week, when the Trevians take on the Glenbrook South Titans, this is Mark Braun. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast. And from New Trier and the homecoming, where the Trevians